afternoon, everyone. I think I've met just about everyone here, but if we haven't had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Nazreen, and I'm Marisa's daughter. I'd first just like to begin by sincerely thanking Millie Pantic and the members of the Marylanders Honor Guard for their beautiful tribute to my mother. As everyone knows, my mother was a proud nurse and nurse educator, and that will be one of the themes of how I'd like to memorialize her today. I'd just like to add that normally I love public speaking. It's one of my favorite things, and something my mom and I have in common. And normally I practice what I'm about to say several times, and I wasn't able to do that with this one. It just has to be there with me. 2.5 years ago, when my mother was first diagnosed with stage 4 intrahepatic metastatic cholangiocarcinoma, I can say with assuredness that we were completely blindsided. My mother was in arguably the best shape of her life, and to be simultaneously told that your mother is the healthiest she's ever been and also the sickest she's ever been was a complete shock, to say the least. In the weeks and months that followed, all of the questions and conversations that we had surrounded around the concept of time. How much time until we get answers to our questions? How much time until she can start treatment? How much time do we have left? It was also a pivotal point of time for me personally. It was the same exact month I turned 40. And the concept of time and just how finite all of it is was very much front and center in all of our minds. As you all know, my mother had crafted an absolutely incredible career. She was the first person in our family to go to college, but she didn't stop there. She obtained her master's when I was a toddler, and when I was in middle school, she began her second career by going to nursing school. She quickly found her passion in nursing, and before I knew it, I was cheering her from the sidelines of Johns Hopkins University as she earned her DSN and became Dr. Wilson. Soon thereafter, the student became the educator, and as she accepted her first teaching positions at Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland School of Nursing, and eventually at the University of Alabama, Birmingham. My mother's professional successes were tangible. They're written in textbooks, they're spelled out in syllabus, they're found in recordings of conferences from speeches she gave all around the world. Her impact on her field was huge, and there are so many people here who I know directly benefited from her incredible contributions. I know this for a fact, simply because of the so many of you that have used words to describe my mother, such as inspiring, incredible, encouraging, groundbreaking. I have to be honest and admit, discussing my mother's career wasn't always something that filled me with joy. In fact, there were times, really in the thick of it, when she was setting off to give another speech, or having to serve on yet another committee, or having to attend a Zoom call at midnight because it was an international call. There were times where I started to actually resent her seemingly endless ambition and dedication. Because what I wanted more than anything else was a slice of that elusive time. My mom was never the PTO mom or the class mom, but that does not mean that she wasn't an incredible mom. My mom taught me how to persevere, how to provide, how to be independent, how to be bold, how to be brave, how to be strong, how to be generous. All of those things I directly learned from her. And when I became a single parent myself, I didn't have any fear, because I knew I was raised by the most capable and competent one. who instilled every bit of confidence in me, and I knew I would be a success. But every now and then, a little shade of resentment of her commitment to her profession still showed up. Why can't you just say no? I would often plead to her. Why do you have to take on another appointment? Why do you have to teach another section of that class? Why do you have to be department chair? Why can't you just spend more time with us? I once compared my mother's commitment to the commitment of another Baltimore great, and she would have a fit knowing that I'm making a sports reference at her funeral. But that's the Iron Man, Cal Ripken himself. As we all know, Cal played 21-31 consecutive days, breaking Lou Gehrig's long-standing unbreakable record. His commitment to his career was evident, and he was heralded for it, not only through this city, but also through the country. But I'm sure there were probably some moments where his wife or his kids said, "Can't you just sit one out? Can't you come to the school play or to my game?" Simply because they wanted a piece of his time. But that's the thing with incredibly driven people who are very committed to their vocation. It becomes a part of who they are intrinsically. And nursing, educating, informatics, all of this was at the core, the very core of who my mother was. I've met with so many of you and spoken with so many of you who said the most beautiful words about my mother. And I can assure you, I no longer feel any shred of resentment towards her storied career. When you speak to me about the impact that my mother made in your lives, the lives of her mentees, her patients, her students, other faculty members, I no longer feel resentment. I don't feel anything but pride for the incredible person she was and the monumental contributions that she made during her career. When we got this cancer diagnosis, there was a shift. There's something about knowing that time is limited, knowing that the time you thought you had isn't going to exist in quite the way you thought it would. You become more purposeful with your time. My mother never used to get in pictures with me. All of a sudden, she wanted to jump in everyone. My mother never really went on any of my multiple trips to New York that I planned, but all of a sudden, she went on every one with us, and I was so grateful. In some ways, cancer gave us a gift. The gift of perspective, the gift of knowing that time is finite, and the reminder that all of our time is elusive. I am so grateful for the intentional time that we got to spend. It's some of my happiest memories with my mother. My other favorite memories, holding my mom's hand as a little girl and jumping waves in the ocean in the Outer Banks, seeing her in the audience for every one of my dance recitals and plays, sitting in on her Wednesday night club meetings with Sarah, Ginger, Becky, and Josephina when I was a middle schooler. The way she instilled a deep, deep love of reading in me that I appreciate to this day. The way she welcomed and loved, truly loved my sisters, my father's daughters, as if they were her own. How happy she was the day that Sadira was born and she became a grandma. She even showed up in her own scrubs and bragged to everyone that she was the first person to see Sadie's face when she was born. The way she would make Christmas so special. Everyone was welcome. And all of your gifts would be wrapped in tissue paper, stuffed in the largest gift bag you could ever imagine that you could never transport without breaking. How she and my father would banter and reminisce and laugh and tell the funniest stories about when they were young. How much she loved to sing Janis Joplin songs and could mimic her raspy singing voice. How much fun we had at the Eagles concert last year, loudly singing every song at the top of her lungs. The way she would speak about her colleagues to me, many of you here in this room, she would always use her full name and title. How dedicated she became to fully understanding her cancer once she was diagnosed. how she so desperately wanted to outsmart it, and how dedicated she was to get as much information as possible about her disease. How she wanted her experience to benefit those who were diagnosed after her. How brave she was through the entire process. Those are the things I will reflect on and miss. So today, when we grieve, we not only grieve my mom and the memories that we no longer get to make with her, but we will also grieve all the contributions that may have been cut short, that she inevitably would have made in all of her fields of expertise, and all the students and mentees that she impacted, and of course within my own family. But we cannot fail to celebrate the fact that on January 5th, my mother was gloriously welcomed into heaven by the communion of saints, reunited with her father, her sister, her grandmother, and was set free of the body that plagued her. And so for that we must celebrate. We must celebrate the person she was, what she gave to all of us, the impact she made, the lives she touched, the footprint that is left behind from her massive repertoire of work. And if there is one thing from our experience of savoring every bit of time that I can leave with you, I would say, make the time for the people you love. Make the time to go to the concert. Make the time to have dinner with a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Make the time to go to the movies with your granddaughter. Just make the time. Because while I am infinitely proud of all of her career contributions, that's not what I will miss. I don't miss my mom grading papers or attending conferences, but I do miss the moments of quiet in between the laughter, the camaraderie, and storytelling. So please, let's all use our time wisely and be mindful of how we spend our one wild and precious life. Thank you so much for being here today.